Hello, welcome back to the GorillaBiker, and today what we're doing is removing and rebuilding the clutch slave cylinder on a Honda Valkyrie. Now, clutch slave cylinders are all very similar in nature, so if you're just looking for another type of clutch slave cylinder, this should work as well. I already rebuilt the master cylinder previously in another video if you want to see that. This is what the one that came off this bike looked like. I'll show you a close-up in a minute. I've honestly never seen anything like it ever, and I've rebuilt quite a few master cylinders, both brake and clutch, so this was a first for me. But yeah, we'll also be running a new clutch line from HEL. I was going to say HEL brake lines, but I suppose also HEL clutch lines. Looks like this, to match my brake lines, which I've already done, including the rear and two front brake lines. So if you want to see a clutch slave cylinder come apart and go back together, then maybe watch the rest of this video. And I'm going to show you the master cylinder first, and yeah, then show you the one that's actually on the bike already that I rebuilt from my other Valkyrie, that's actually pretty much ready to go now. Running the clutch line should be fairly straightforward, and fitting the removing and fitting the slave cylinder should be fairly straightforward. And rebuilding and removing the master cylinder is also straightforward. So none of this is difficult. I think everyone can do this job. What you will need is a rebuild kit. This one is a brakecrafters rebuild kit. The code is BC0150C, and you will also need a gasket, and the gasket is a BC650G. So if you watch the video, you'll also find out are those correct as we go through it. But first, the master cylinder, which is, I will warn you, offensively disgusting. So usually you would have brake fluid in here. Hold on, let me grab my phone. This is not what it should look like in here. That is not a liquid anymore. I don't know what it is. I knew it was going to be bad because the outside already looks like this. Now I'm going to order up another rebuild kit and try rebuild this just to see. But yeah, if you want to see a master cylinder, clutch master cylinder being rebuilt, just check it out on my channel. I've already rebuilt the one that came with the other Valkyrie, and that is now sitting on here waiting to go. So yeah, the clutch slave cylinder, which I'm not going to really be able to show you, is as you look at the right hand side of the bike, the slave cylinder actually lives right here, right? So you're gonna have to remove this line here. This is your actual fluid line, and then there's also a connector for the bleeder, so be careful on that. I'll show you the bleeder is in a second. We stand up, and then there's three bolts. There's one, two is going to be hard to get to actually, and then there's a third one somewhere right there. So 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to remove this first to get me some clearance, and then hopefully I will get this one with a spanner, because I don't think I'm getting a ratchet onto this one, and the other two should be ratchetable, and they look like a size 10. So yeah, let's I'm not going to be able to video this for obvious reasons, because look where we are, but I will do my best to show you everything afterwards. Okay, minor complication. You see I have an engine stand, or a jack stand, underneath the engine bars at the strong point here, right? There's a reason for this. And I will show you. I also have another one there, just in case the bike was to tip. But if you look in here, that last, is this not gonna work? There we go. That last bolt, which is hidden right now, that last bolt, you can kind of see it there. It's blocked by this big chunk of metal, which is our side stand mount. So I'm not doing the safest thing on planet Earth. I wouldn't recommend this. I would recommend using an actual bike jack or something, or even a wheel chock. I'm going to safetify this up a little bit more, and then I'm going to take this off, and then we'll be able to finally take out the clutch slave cylinder. So it's a little bit less straightforward than it should have been. But if you look here, that is actually clutch fluid that has damaged the paint on the back of this engine cover, and that's because this was leaking. You can actually kind of see some of the gunk around it. So this has to come off no matter what, right? It just has to. So I guess I just have to stop complaining and do it. Just really quick as well, you will have to remove this 10mm bolt here from this. You can also remove this from down below. There's a banjo bolt that connects this. This is the actual clutch bleeder. I would not recommend that because it'd be really hard to reattach. I would just remove this 10mm right here because that would be easier to put back in place than removing what's down there. So that's what I'm doing. So to the surprise of nobody, the slave cylinder is absolutely offensively disgusting as well, which is what I was expecting. More of the fairy dust, the powder, the magical powder. Just to run you through really quick what you have to do. I'm gonna have to clean the living daylights out of that as well, which is not great. There is a seal you can see in the center there. Ideally, you would change that as well. I'm not sure does it come with the rebuild kit. I might order one and see. Does it come in time for me to change it? But otherwise, these bolts here are 17s. I don't know if you'll be able to see it with the light. Oh, you can kind of. So these are 17s. You got to get a 17 spanner above it. The easiest way to do this is to get a second person. I had to grab a second person because I'm not. This one here on this side, like closest to us, was okay, but the far one you need a second person to hold the spanner for you, or the wrench as they call it in America. And then you just take off these nuts here, and that drops the side stand away. A bit of an annoying design. I mean, they could have put a slot in the side stand. And then to get the actual slave cylinder itself out, to get it to release, I should say, there is a pry point right here. So as this sits in on the engine like this, you just want to pry on this piece here and get it out. So for now, I have lots of cleaning to do, and then we'll get to rebuilding this. But first, actually, let's see what's in the rebuild kit. So I'm not sure do I get that center seal. If I do, it'd be great, but let's find out. I feel like I don't. Okay, so I don't. I just get literally the slave cylinder rebuild itself. So I mean, that internal oil seal, I'll probably try order it so I don't have to do this again. But I mean, also I could chance it, and I mean, this isn't the worst in the world. It doesn't take that long. So first and foremost, I need to strip this down and clean it. So I'll turn on the other camera so you can see that better. So I just scraped out a lot of the gunk. Now I'm just trying to get this seal to pop out, which doesn't really want to get out. There we go. That was very well sealed in there with all the crud from the ages. Okay, this is what your disassembled slave cylinder looks like. I've already started to clean it. This is going to require a lot more. Here's the important bit here. This is the actual piston, which I don't know, did you know was actually there? Sneaky. This needs a hell of a lot of cleaning. But to get this out, leave this attached, and honestly the best way to do it is just to apply air in through here, and that'll pop it out. Just be careful, don't point this at your face, point it at something soft so it cushions its impact with whatever it hits. But yeah, this is, to disassemble you pretty much just need to pull the spring off. This is our new spring here, and then this seal here I'm also going to take off and then put everything in the ultrasonic bath to try to give it a good clean. It's not too bad. I already ran it through the ultrasonic bath once just to loosen this up because it was completely jammed. But yeah, there's a bit of cleaning ahead of me. So wish me luck. So just one of the things that you run into when you're rebuilding old bikes that have been sitting a long time is this is what the piston looks like. And I wouldn't mind, only it feels very rough up around this edge. So I'm going to try clean this up. I don't know, can you hear the ultrasonic bath going in the background? I'm trying to clean up the housing as well. The housing's bore feels better than this. But this might be one of those cases where I just replace the whole assembly because, not that it's a huge amount of effort to get in and get it out of the bike, but the fact that this could just fail, and obviously your clutch is important. Brakes are more important, which is why I already replaced the pistons, but I don't think you can just buy rebuild pieces. You kind of have to buy the entire thing. So yeah, it's I'm going to try clean it up, and if I'm happy with it, we'll go with it and rebuild it because I already have the kit.
But I'm also might check what aftermarket options are available, because this is kind of not great. So yeah. Okay, so this thing is really not good. I don't know, can you see how corroded this this slave cylinder is? It's not pretty, so I think I'm going to put it back together since I have the rebuild kit, and I've cleaned up the bore. I'm actually happy with the bore, and I'm happy with the outside edge of this piston now. It's still discolored, but it's actually not pitted or anything, so the piston itself is not too bad. Look, it's not an ideal situation. I'm going to put it back together just to have it back together, but like that just shows you when you let things go for too long, like that's really messed up. You know, it's really not pretty. So yeah, we're going to put it back together just so everyone can see how to put it back together, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so to put this absolute pile of garbage back together, you want to do the thing. First, get your rubber pieces out. Obviously, we're going to be... So the open piece of the rubber there, that's going to face this side. So that's going to go on like that, right? So that's what we're doing right now, just in case you get confused. But again, as always, we're going to want to just grease this up with some red rubber grease. You can't beat red rubber grease. So anyway, once you have that popped on, which is incredibly easy, as you saw, you want to put on your new spring. Now, just as a comparison, I don't want you to be able to see this, but that's our new spring versus our old spring. See the difference in length? And that's because springs get tired as they get older, which is what happened to that one. You want to pop the new spring onto the bottom end of the piston, like that, and it just pops on right over that the little nub that was there. That's just to locate it. Now we can slide that in. You want to try to get this going in kind of straight. Hard to show you this piece. But yeah, you want it to go in straight. You're just going to have to trust me that I put that in straight. But I did, I promise. And then lastly, you want to put in this seal here. Little seal. Can you see that? But that's going to go in facing up, so that side of the seal is going to face out towards you. And again, you can just grease this up a wee bit. You don't need to go crazy here, just grease up the outer edges. Grease up. Yeah, you can, I mean, it doesn't matter. You can grease up as much as you like, you know. You'll figure out if it's too much, and you'll feel silly. And then that should just be able to pop in by finger, which it did. And then what's going to sit in there is actually this piston here. So that's going to go in there and then also go into the piston actuator. So, I mean, we could throw all this back together now. That's it. That's as easy as it is to rebuild one of these. You just have to clean it a lot and see. Now, theoretically, because all my corrosion is up on this outer edge here, this should work, right? It really should. It's not like we're dealing with a situation where, you know, all the corrosion is down on the bore where the piston is sitting. So theoretically, this should work. I'm just not sure is it going to, but I mean, we can try it. I have the parts, you know. I'm willing to spend some time to figure out will it work. You know, I enjoy torturing myself sometimes, but I do think it will work. I do think that the bore of the actual piston itself is okay, and I'm kind of okay trying to save some money on this, because a new slave cylinder is going to be like 100 quid or whatever else, whereas a rebuild kit was only 20 odd. Now, in general, would it be better to obviously have this in better condition? Absolutely, but it is what it is. So what I need to do now is I need to clean out the receiver in there, which again, I'm not going to show you, but I'm going to clean that out with just brake cleaner and a brush and just clean until I'm relatively satisfied with it. It's hard to get in there and clean it, but it is doable. I mean, this honestly cleaned up better than I thought it was going to, considering where it came from to where it is now. It was extremely crusty when we first took it out, and now it looks okay. So yeah, I think we give it a go. And I mean, worst case scenario, I have to replace it with an aftermarket piece anyway, which, you know, is not the end of the world if that does happen. And the funny thing is, I accidentally bought 2 gaskets way back when I first ordered stuff for this bike. So worst case scenario, I haven't really lost anything. I have another gasket too. So yeah, we and by the way, I don't think the original actually had a gasket on it. I think that's something that has helped in, you know, in later years kind of seal off from moisture and stuff getting in there, which is probably what happened in this scenario. Is stuff just got in and it or leaked out, and you know, it didn't really work out over time well for anyone involved. So yeah, anyway, this is ready to put back on, but first I need to clean over there more, so I'm going to do that now. It is very, very warm. All right, so let's try reverse bleed. Okay, so first and foremost, you want to hook your pipe onto your bleeder, right? The next thing, I don't know, can you see that, is you want to hold this up like that. So as we push in, once we open that bleeder, you're not pushing air, you're only pushing liquid, okay? So then all we're going to do is put some pressure on this, like with your pushy push. And I don't know, will you be able to see? I'll move you over here so you can watch in there. Now all I'm going to do is start to push fluid through this line until it comes out the top end. I'm not sure how long this will take, but you can see I'm just pushing. That's all I'm doing. Another thing I should have said is to put kind of blue, or put something to catch any liquid that might leak out around the bleed nipple. Just put something there to kind of catch it, because that can obviously leak as you force fluid through. It's going to find its way out in other places too. So far we've pushed in about 30 milliliters, maybe slightly more, not entirely sure. Try to get you to see that. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how much we pushed in, but it's a good bit. So look, you can see some fluid coming out there now. So you can see already that did not take long. And basically the beauty of this is we've pre-filled the line, which is honestly usually the worst part of this job. Is when you've completely rebuilt a system, it's just full of air. So that's what we're doing right now. Now I need to turn this handlebar. So what I'm gonna do is, before I let go of the pressure, I'm gonna lock up our bleed screw. Because what can happen if you don't close it back up is you can introduce some air, which we don't want. Now I'm just gonna carefully turn my handlebars so I can get this more straight. Okay, so now that the bike's straightened out, I'm just going to go back to doing what I was doing. And basically what I'm going to do is try to get as much of this fluid through that line as possible, because then obviously we're going to bleed back the other way to get any air bubbles out. So now we're encountering quite a lot of resistance. So what I'm going to do is hang this up here, like that. And now we're going to bleed as normal. And you can leave this whole thing hooked up because you're just going to bleed fluid back into your tube. So what I'm going to do is just top up my master cylinder a little bit and then bleed as normal. So just literally a couple of squeezes. Lots of bubbles coming out there. I can start to feel some actuation. Now all I'm going to do is keep repeating the process you just saw until there's no air bubbles in this line here anymore as we bleed it. So that's all I'm going to do. I will be back. Alright, that's it bled. Nice fresh fluid in here, so I'll put the cap back on that. There's actually quite a firm clutch pull on that now. Maybe we'll need to bleed it more, I don't know yet. Before you remove this, always pull back on this a little bit to get pressure on it, a little bit of suction so you don't spill fluid anywhere. And then I'm going to put that right back in there so I have some left. And yeah, that's it. That's clutch rebuilt, put back on, bled, should be functional. We'll find out. Okay, so that is that. Clutch slave cylinder rebuilt, clutch master cylinder fitted, new clutch line fitted, clutch bled. That was a lot of work. Honestly, the most awkward piece of that is removing the side stand. You can brace the whole bike on two axle stands on the front engine bar. Actually very stable on there once you have the two wheels still on the bike, of course. So yeah, don't worry about trying to remove that. That side stand is actually pretty easy. You need a 17 spanner, 19 socket, and you can pop it off, no problem. The bolt is a 17, the nut is a 19 millimeter. Other than that, the actual slave cylinder rebuild would be very straightforward if it wasn't as corroded as mine is. Like if you have one that's in good condition, easy peasy. Running the new clutch line, once you have the fuel tank off, and maybe the air box off, also easy peasy, no issues whatsoever. I would tell anyone to do that job. It's not hard. Anyone can do that job. As for that, I have tested it. The bike goes in and out of gear, just rolling it back and forward and stuff. So pretty happy with that. It didn't do that before. So I think we have a functional clutch again, which is really nice. So yeah, I mean, it seems to be holding fluid. I'm obviously going to keep an eye on it. The bottom of your slave cylinder does have a little weep hole, so that if any of the internal seals fail, you will see that leak out there. So if we do have a failure, I'll know, I'll tell you, and we'll put in a new one. I'm going to check the Oberon. I've used Oberon slave cylinders before, and they're very good. They're based out of the UK, I think, but they're good quality. They're a good quality product. I used one on the Aprilia years ago, and it's tasty enough. But yeah, that's it. If you've watched, thank you very much for watching. That was a hassle, but it wouldn't be that much of a hassle if you didn't have all that corrosion. If you were just swapping it because of a leak, no problem. You could do a seal. You could have this done in like 30 minutes, I think, personally. Especially if you already have the tank off, but again, taking the tank off doesn't take that much time. So should you try this yourself? I think yes, provided you have, proper safeties in place for balancing the bike to take off the side stand. You do absolutely have to take off the side stand. There is unfortunately no way around it. It is only 2 bolts. It's not very hard, but it is just an extra thing that you have to worry about. Especially if this is your first time wrenching on your own stuff. But yeah, that's it. If you watched, thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions at all, please do let me know down in the comments, and I will do my best to answer them. And yeah, until next time, a very special thank you as always to all of my patrons. Mucho apreciado. And we're getting way closer to bringing this bike on the road. We have a clutch now. We have brakes. We have working carburetors. I just need to balance them, which is probably the next video. And that's it, actually. Yeah, thermostat's done, coolant is done, all the fluids are done. I think we might be about to bring this bike on the road. Get excited, I am. All right, anyway, thanks again for watching. Adios. Outro crew, is this something you would try yourself? I'm very sweaty. If it was cooler in here, this would have been fine. It is currently 88 degrees, and it is 20 to 11 at night. 88 degrees in normal speak is like 29 degrees Celsius, I think. In here, it's quite humid too. But I had to keep the doors closed, or else there would be none of me left. The mosquitoes would come in and literally eat my flesh away. So, yeah, would you do this job? We're actually close. We're so close. We're so close. I'm excited. Anyway, thanks, outro crew. Bye, outro crew.